Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Stock, and in this video we're taking a look at 3 different companies during this earnings season that each have earnings coming up this week. 2 of them are in the after hours tomorrow, and I think that they're definitely worth a look. I think there's interesting things going on with their charts, and from a technical perspective, I think there are things that we could possibly capitalize on there. And then also one of them has earnings May 4th. Also in the after hours of May 4th this week in the markets, and I think its chart also offers us some interesting opportunities. So we're going to take a look into those in this video. Now in this video, you're going to see me featuring the Moomoo app. And I got to tell you, Moomoo right now has the best offer that I've seen, and it only lasts for the month of May. And you can get access to it through using the link down in the description. So all you have to do is sign up, make your deposit, and you can get up to 20 free stocks by using this. And you will see me featuring the earnings calendar through Moomoo later on in this video. Also down in the description, you'll find my link for the Patreon. Click sign up, join me and my community members, chat with us in the private Discord and get access to my Patreon exclusives. With that said, let's get right on into the content. All right, so check this out. Here we have Moomoo open up, and what we're looking at right now is AMD. Now, they report their earnings on May 2nd after the market closes, and when we take a look at their recent price action, they actually have a bullish channel going on right now. So let's go ahead and grab some rays. There we go, sweet baby rays. Drop that across the bottom of there, and then we'll grab one more, and then we'll drop that across the top of these. And it's not perfect, but you can see that we keep on having these touches off support and resistance, and we don't quite have that touch happening there. As a matter of fact, we can even adjust this one and come back this way. There we go. That looks even better. So just for a quick drawing, and you can see we touched that support line here, and now we're heading right back up, crossed the 50-day, kind of sold off a little bit today, but we do have room, I'd say probably even up to this previous peak that we have. So for AMD, consumer gaming is one of those places with the graphics cards that is an area where they could possibly capitalize for AMD coming in as the cheaper, but nearly up to the same performance, pretty much not even perceptible difference unless you're really looking at the benchmarks, or unless maybe you have your frames per second open or something like that, and you're really getting down to the nitty gritty. So this would be an excellent alternative to the NVIDIA cards. So I think it's something that could appeal more to the gamers, and we can see if that is something that comes out pretty well for AMD, and I am optimistic on their earnings. So we'll see if that bullishness pays off. So we'll see earnings, like I said, May 2nd in the after hours. Now we should also take a look at the next company, and that one is probably my wife and daughter's favorite company, and that's Starbucks. I don't know if it's their favorite one to invest in, but take a look at this thing. Let me zoom out a little bit, and you can see the sort of path that it's been on, just how deep of a gouge, all the way down into the middle of May of last year, before this thing actually had a double bottom and started ripping ever since then. And I think the thing that's interesting, besides their earnings that are coming up on May the 2nd, is that this company, Starbucks here, as of today has an RSI of about 84. This thing is really, really into overbought territory. So it is possible that we start to see some selling off, some profit taking in the meantime. And right now, if you look at the position cost distribution that's over here right now, the profit ratio is up over 99% of companies that are in profit. So you could definitely have some profit taking there. We have an average price of about 103. So it's not necessarily that it's going to be the biggest mover, but it is one that's set to move. And for Starbucks, right now, it's hard to tell which way it's going to go, but given its overbought position that we have right now and the recent run-up that we've had, I think that it stands to lose a couple dollars based off earnings. This could actually be a run-up to favorable earnings. So if you're looking at this and being like, but they're supposed to have excellent sales numbers, well, that could already be priced in, and that could be the reason that we saw this run that we did. So they could come out with wonderful results and end up dropping in the meantime anyway. And we most definitely want to be looking at guidance, and we do have evidence that say that upper level income consumers have been spending anyway. And with the strong consumer, if that strength holds out, Starbucks could stand to capitalize on that. So we'll see if they do tend to rip higher, but they are nearly at all-time highs already. They only have about $7 to go to get to where they were at before. So that's like 5-ish to 6-ish% up from where they currently sit to get them back up to those previous highs. And then where do we go from there? Do we have the market conditions to support that kind of price action right now? It's really hard to tell. If I had to guess, for me, I would say that we're probably going to be traveling on the way back down. I don't know if it'll settle all the way back down. Get that out of the way there. Around the 110 area for support before this thing finally settles a little bit. Maybe we see it even sink down depending on how much it does rip down. If it does at all, maybe it does go back up to those highs that we had before. Now the last one, like I said, this one's May 4th. Well, Starbucks is May 2nd in the after hours. Apple's the last one. This one's May 4th. in the after hours. And this is also another one where we have that run up. We actually have decent momentum going on here. Now let me zoom out a little bit so it's a little bit more exaggerated. That's the word I was looking for. So we can see the run up that it's had, and we can see the RSI falling over time, and that could be bearish divergence for us. So for Apple, you can see actually off its peaks. Let me grab a ray here, go off the peak of this one, and the downtrend that it was on, it did break over that. So honestly, it has it now for support, and we know that Apple's an incredibly company. I wouldn't say that this thing was going to be completely tanked from where it's at right now. Now, as far as profit ratios go, we have over 99% of positions in profit with an average price of $140 per share. And we do know that this is a cash park kind of stock. It is possible that we do see a little bit of selling pressure come off of earnings for Apple. This is another one that I think very strong company. I don't think it sells off very much, just like I don't think that Starbucks sells off very much, but I do think that price action is going to be there. And for the options players out there, we can also take a look at the options market to see how we believe that they're going to do from that. With that said, I do want to switch over to the Moomoo app on my mobile device so that you guys can take a look and see what that looks like with their earnings calendar. So that way, should you choose to use the Moomoo app, like I said, links down in the description, you would know exactly what that looks like. All right, so check it out. We're looking at the Moomoo app right now. There we go, bring it to the front of my computer screen so we can see it as well. And I decided to go with a better contrast for the background that I have. And you can see the earnings report that I have on here. That is actually on this spot right here. So if you tap on earnings report, and then what we have is a summary of each day, and you can choose to show all of the companies that are reporting on that given day. And then there's also the calendar. So if you wanted to see MGM, these aftermarket hours, you would just tap on the calendar. It would say add a calendar. It would sync to the calendar on your mobile device. So that's one really nice thing about that. So let's go to SoFi because they did report today. And if across the top you scroll across to analysis, financial, there's where we want to go. You can see that their revenue year over year was up 60% and that their net income is also increased, although they haven't yet hit profitability. We'll see if Q4 is still that time that we get that from them. So going back out to the earnings calendar, let's go hit show all, and then you'll see AMD on here, and you'll also see Starbucks right around the middle of your screen. Here, I'll point to it with my cursor so you can see those values. So for AMD, tap on that one, go over to financial, and you can see from their last report that their year-over-year revenue, 43%, and that their net income took a hit. And if we scroll down a little bit, we can see the sort of trajectory that their EPS has been on. Now, it has been falling over time. This could be that turning point moment for them, just like NVIDIA's was during the last earnings that they had for the close of 2022. So when you look at these financial estimates that are on here, like I said, this being the fact that right now they sort of have an underwhelming look for what's coming up for those estimates, it is one of those times that if they beat, they could really surprise the market, and surprising the market could turn very green for us. And I do anticipate that surprise coming in for AMD. If we go back out, you can choose Starbucks, and you can see I have both of those on my calendar, so I'm notified when their earnings come out, and then that way I can also watch those. Now, Apple, let me go back out to May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. That's going to be our Star Wars Day coming up. I'm sure that Stocks of Josh, if you watch him, he'll give a shout out. And you'll see Apple, I already have it added to my calendar as well. And it says live on here, so we get a live earnings call right directly through the Moomoo app that you don't have to go searching a million places. You can find it here. You can find it locally. Now, if you actually tap the button for landscape mode, there we go. You can't quite see it too well on my screen. I might be able to move it a little bit for you. There we go. Slide it over for just a sec. I'm going to cover my beautiful face, though, so take a moment, hold your breath, because, oh, man, where'd I go? So there's that, and now let me go back to portrait mode, so that way I'm back, and you guys can see me again. You don't have to cry. I didn't go anywhere. I'm still here. There we go. Now we got the calendar back to where we need it. So, as I was saying, Apple's on here May the 4th, and May the 4th be with you on that day. Go to financial, and you can see that the revenue, the last earnings that they had were actually down year over year. Same thing for the net income. Now, for Apple's kind of an interesting one are their iPhone sales. Yes, they're going to be down from the previous quarter because the previous quarter had the holiday. And if you actually look at their iPhone sales, they spike every time that the holiday season comes around. That is a big time for them. And maybe you as a consumer are right on board with that, that you understand that that does happen right around that time. And then there's a drop off in Q1. When we hit January, February, March, there's a natural drop-off. So the year-over-year number is going to be interesting. When we look at quarter-over-quarter, that's not going to be the greatest comparison for a company like Apple. Now, I do believe that their Mac sales, like I actually have a Mac Studio. I was one of the people who actually bought that, and I think that they have some incredible offers and deals right now. However, the argument with Mac right now is that the M2 chip, just not that same leap that they had when they went to Apple Silicon with the M1 chip. So that could be something that's keeping people from turning that over. However, it could be a boost that we see in subsequent years. So we'll see what Apple brings to us, and if the macro environment conditions that we have the consumer still showing up strong enough to actually reflect in their sales as well. Given the run up in price, it is possible that we do, but it's also possible with that price run up. And I'll go back to the chart here. There we go, where you can actually see a little bit more of Apple's price action. Go to the weekly chart, and then you can see a little bit of that on the end chart here. It's not as good for video purposes anyway, for seeing that on here. And they are getting near those previous highs that we had. You can see we're looking at the weekly chart right now, and you can see they peaked out at 175 before, and you can see that nice little falling star candle, shooting star candle that we have, that this thing was going to drop off, and man, oh man, it did. And then down here, you get to see that sort of the opposite of it, and then shooting the market back upward from there. So for Apple, is this that sort of quarter where they actually put in the performance to keep this thing going up to retest all-time highs, or is the price action going to soften a little bit for us? That we're just going to have to wait and see what exactly happens with that over time when earnings come out, as a matter of fact, which should be sooner than later. So for AMD, I'm really optimistic about that one, that given the bullish channel that they're on right now, that they're going to surprise with earnings and that we're going to see them move up pretty rapidly. And then Starbucks and Apple, I think, are two that have really shown a lot of strength recently, and even with good earnings could possibly show some softness that I don't necessarily expect either one of them to retest the all-time highs. And we'll see if I'm right or I'm wrong about that, but I did want to share my perspective with all of you. That link for Moomoo is down in the description. Sign up, make your deposit, get those 20 free stocks. It is the best offer I've seen, and why not support yourself also while helping me support the things that I do here with this channel, bringing all the news and information that I find interesting here to you, and hopefully you find it helpful as well. If you like my commentary, like to hear more, find that link down in the description for the Patreon. Click sign up and join me and my Patreon members that are over there already, and get access to my Patreon exclusive content. Like button if you like this video, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and ring that notification bell to see anytime that my videos come out. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. We'll see you in the next video.